Welcome to the Midnight Memo. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Claire. For those who joined us on our live, thank you so much. It was super fun. And we are sitting in Kristen's closet.
If you joined the live, you will know that we changed up our location today. Usually when we film in person, record in person, we record in my office, but I think it's been giving us a little bit of issues with it being a little echoey, we've noticed in some of our recordings. Maybe you haven't noticed it. If you haven't noticed it, pretend I didn't say that. And so we wanted to try something a little different today and record, in my closet because we thought maybe it would be a little less echoey.
Yeah, hopefully it's less echoey. Yeah, we want to change the scenery, so we chose the floor.
The floor of my closet.
Yes, you know. But it's a little toasty in here.
We're gonna bake in some body heat.
Yeah, gonna sweat on each other a little bit.
Yum.
Yeah, you know, since we're already so close that I feel like this level of intimacy shouldn't deter us.
No bounds.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something and then I was like, nope, don't say that. That'll make it weird and gross.
Well, now you have to say it because now I'm curious.
When you were saying we're gonna get close and sweat on each other, I was like, yeah, exchange bodily fluids. And then I was like, no.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry, everyone. If you joined the live, you also know I'm a little off today. I have had caffeine this afternoon and it's a showing.
I would also like to say that we started our live at 10 p.m.
On the dot.
Yeah, on the dot. We were timely and we were
punctual ladies, really.
Yes. Everyone was like, oh, is this even the real Midnight Memo? You guys are recording at 10. No. I can confidently say that it is 11:54 right now and we are just starting. Like, why did it take us so long? I do not know.
Like we said in the live, we start with the grand plan of being timely, do our setup. We're like, oh, we'll start quote early so we can get sleep. And it still takes us like an hour and a half to set up and choose a topic, get our shiz together, just random talking, catching up with life while we set up and try to figure out what we're doing, what we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah, we were just sitting here and this is actually the first time I've seen Kristen in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, she gave me a hug, guys.
I know.
I was so happy. That made me so happy. Claire gave me a hug.
Out of character.
She reached for the hug. Because usually you're not a huggy person.
That's true.
But I've noticed you've been giving me more hugs since I told you I love hugs.
Oh, I know your love language
I
now.
know. I think we were talking about whether or not to hug people. One time we were randomly talking and I was like, is it better to give a hug to a person that maybe doesn't necessarily like hugs, if hugs is my way of expressing? Oh, greeting people, that's what we're talking about. When you greet someone, and my first reaction is always to hug someone. Like, that's how I don't do the handshake thing, I don't do the high five, or I don't know what people do. Because my natural reaction is just to hug them.
The bro.
Oh, bro thing. Yeah, but I'm not gonna dap no dude up. Like, I'm not bros with people like that. But
honestly, the guys, they go above and beyond because they do a handshake and a hug.
This is true. But then sometimes you have those guys too that when you hug them, like they'll have that bro hug and then you hug them being a girl. And sometimes they'll be a little awkward. And I want to think it's out of respect for me being a female. Like, they don't want to make me feel awkward. But then it's more awkward because they'll do the half hug thing, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, they'll hug with their hip.
Yeah, the side hug.
Yeah, and I'm like, I just saw you dap a man up, like, chest to chest. And now you gonna hug me with your hip? It's a little weird.
Honestly, guys, the way that they interact with each other is just so weird. Because from my point of view, girls will either, hug each other. Well, that's really it. Yeah, we'll hug each other. But guys, they'll do the bro hug, which is like a handshake hug thing. They'll slap each other on the butt. And then they turn to us and be like, oh, you guys are so close to your friends. You literally just hit this man's ass. Like, I don't understand what you mean.
And that's like the sports high five.
Yeah.
Let me slap your ass a little bit.
Yeah. The level of intimacy is higher than they'd like to admit.
Exactly. And then yet some will not share a bed. I've talked to you about my issues this week.
Yeah. Or some will slap each other across the face, like Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Dude, That's it's so wild to me. And the more I see stuff online, I mean the internet is talking about it and trying to like quote pick a side, right? Like, oh, was Will Smith in the right for quote right with slapping Chris Rock for disrespecting Jada? Was he wrong because it was still out of character, like out of line, blah blah blah, back and forth dialogue. And the more things that come out, I keep flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm like, yeah, defend his woman. But then you also have, if you watch the video, like a second before you see Jada's annoyed face, which was what I was primarily focusing on when I first watched it. I was like, ooh, she pissed. And people were talking about, oh, it's a skit, blah, blah, blah. No, you see Jada's face. This is not a skit. Like, if she was a skit, she would have been in the know. But then people are like, oh, she's an actor. I don't know. I don't believe it's a skit because now the LAPD is involved and everything.
Now that I know that the police are involved, I don't think it's a skit anymore. I was kind of like, okay, you're at the Oscars.
Yeah.
All of them are actors. They can pull off anything. They can make anything convincing. So if they wanted to get more publicity for something in the future, this was the way to do it.
100%.
It's being like nationally broadcast or whatever. And I don't know. I thought I was like, well, it was a slap rather than a punch.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it was meant to be like less harmful to kind of go along with the skit. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's so hard to say. I feel like I'm more on Chris Rock's side. If this was not a skit,
right,
I would be on his side because yes, I totally agree. Defend your woman. Stand up for her if she's, being made fun of for something that she cannot control.
Yeah.
However, you are at an award show. They make fun of people all the time.
Yeah.
And you kind of, it's not out of the ordinary. Like every single year they'll pick specific people out, and be like, make fun of them, get a laugh. I think that's what you're kind of signing on for. And you kind of have to be prepared for that and, just roll with the punches.
Totally.
Which I think was what Chris Rock was just kind of doing. He was just kind of poking fun at something. And so to take physical steps, not a fan of that. I was like, you could definitely defend her and like yell, whatever.
Yeah.
But to physically like go up and like hit him, I don't know.
Yeah. I saw this. Someone made a, analysis TikTok that I saw the other day. I wish I remembered the TikToker right now. I do not remember them off the top of my head, so I cannot give credit right now. If I find you again, I'll mention it in the description. But they were talking about, like, Chris Rock and Will Smith have been actors, comedians, like, running in the same circle in Hollywood for 20 plus years. You'd think they're, if not really good friends, at least very cordial, like you're running in the same circles. And if they are professionals, like we believe them to be, why couldn't that be an off the stage conversation, Mm-hmm. If you really like you said, he's a comedian, he's gonna poke fun, like you sign up for that when you're a public figure and you're going to the Oscars, okay. And if for some reason it was really out of line and you really didn't like that, I still tiptoe whether or not I think that's out of line, because like alopecia is something she can't control. Like that wasn't, I don't know, open to interpretation on that. But assuming that they are in the same circles for 20 plus years, you would think they at least have the respect where you can wait till the joke's over. Especially Chris Rock was kind of quote wrapping it up. He was like, yeah, that was a good joke, and then it kind of seemed like he was going to pivot or whatever, thinking that he could move on. Why wouldn't you just wait till the end, end of the bit, take it off to the side and be like, bro, that wasn't cool, like really didn't like that, blah blah blah. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe Chris Rock would have went on next time he announces and be like, sorry about that, Jada, whatever, like if that came to be. But at least I definitely think they could have worked it out, like you said, in a conversation before resorting to assault.
Yeah. I think it was, and it sucks because I think that big event took away a lot of attention from the people who were getting awarded different Oscars for different things. Also, side note, I think Amy Schumer, her comedy genius, I think lifted the energy again after that incident happened. Like I feel like she stole the show for me, to be quite honest. She was hilarious the whole time. But I guess I'm just like emphasizing the fact that when you have hosts for these award shows, they poke fun at everything because that's what's interesting to the viewers. Like, there was a piece about, like, oh, they hired 3 women hosts because it's still cheaper than 1 male host. And, like, they pick out, like, is it Timothy? Like, they make fun of actors' names and things that they go through. And, you know, you laugh it off. And every single year, it's someone new. So it's like you kind of have to prepare for that.
Yeah. Another argument I saw was talking about poking fun at least once. It's a new person every year. And this was back when I was like, maybe Will Smith was justified. Someone pointed out that Chris Rock poked fun at Jada in the 2016, I think, Oscars. And he, like, made a reference to her then. So they were like, oh, this was building up. So I don't know the validity of that, but just info.
Yeah, maybe he was like, oh, you're still making fun of my wife kind of situation.
I think that was the point of this person arguing that online.
Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of crazy, but all of the people who won that night definitely deserved it. And I think that the recovery.
There were so many iconic people that got awarded too. Like, was it the first deaf support? I don't quite remember, because literally all I can think about is the slap.
Yeah.
Like you said, it detracted a lot from the winners and other things.
Also, I guess, like, Will Smith also got an Oscar that night, and not saying that he did not deserve it at all, but the way he, like, tried to recover his actions during his speech,
that was weird.
It was weird, and it wasn't, like, I don't know, I don't think that was appropriate, trying to play it off like, oh, you know, I was the protector of these 2 girls in the film, I was being the protector of Jada right now. Like, I didn't think that was necessary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would it have been worse if he didn't acknowledge it? Like, do you wish he just accepted the award? And
I think he should have owned up to it. He could say, thank you so much, the Academy, whatever. Just wanted to touch on this. My actions were either whatever he felt about his actions, you know, like, they were justified, they were not justified. I did not handle that properly and I apologize, whatever. Instead of being like, it was my character, you know, it was from the film. And, like,
but what if that is, like, that could be his way of justifying it, and not that that's right, but assuming that that's how he feels is justifying it, of, like, that was out of character, like you said, that was out of character, or this is how I felt, whatever.
I don't know.
Not the most professional way to do it, maybe, but
yeah,
that's probably his version of it.
Maybe. Do you think his career, like, do you think he'll get many opportunities after this? Because I know whether it's good or bad publicity, it's still publicity.
Yeah,
your name's
exactly.
Yeah, your name's thrown out there now. He's a topic of conversation. But from, like, a career standpoint, not like he needs any more money or needs any more acting jobs.
Totally.
I don't know that he'll get as many opportunities now.
But I also don't know if it'll limit him that much, truthfully.
Yeah.
Especially coming off this Oscar win, I think that might outweigh the alternative. And I think the only way it could be an argument for him not to be hired in certain movies would be if they have a specific image to protect. But I think if that was the case, like, whatever movie needs a specific image where they won't hire Will Smith, I don't think those are the roles he's going for anyways. So I don't believe that he'll really be limited or have many repercussions. If anything, the internet might just cancel him for a while.
And is anyone really canceled?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's been only a few days, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
A lot of debate. Yeah, very weird. And the internet was so quick to come up with memes on that. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. People are hilarious.
Literally, like, I feel like minutes where you already had some golden nuggets of memes, and now it's just spiraling of so many funny things.
Yeah. I wish I was that quick on my humor.
They were so quick. I was like, how do you guys... Some of the memes I was seeing, I was like, it felt too soon to laugh at it, but the meme was so freaking funny. So I was like, y'all too quick.
Yeah. Some of them are chef's kiss, for sure.
Wild.
Yeah. But it is now past midnight.
Burr, 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 burr.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you for tuning in to the Midnight Memo. If we didn't say it before, this is the Midnight Memo. it is a podcast where we talk about all the thoughts that keep us up at night. And we wanted you to come join in on our virtual slumber party we're having here.
Yeah, we're all cuddled up on the floor of my closet. I'm on a bunch of pillows.
I have a single pillow.
Claire has a single pillow and a blanket. So basically, the virtual slumber party we've always wanted.
Yeah.
Cute.
This does give me the old sleepover vibes with the blanket and everything, so...
Were you one of the first people to fall asleep at a sleepover, or were you the last?
I was never the first.
You were second.
But I was never the last.
I was gonna say, you were definitely on the second category.
Yeah.
If you had to split either the first or the last, you were first.
Yeah. I've actually never pulled an all-nighter.
Oh, that's right, you weirdo.
Yeah. I don't have it in me.
Remember when I pulled 3 all-nighters in a row and then I missed my flight? That was fun.
I don't remember that, but I'm glad you reminded me.
It was right before winter break. I pulled 3 all-nighters in a row, and then I had a really early flight. I think it was at like 7 a.m. And I also forgot to pack. So I was packing. I think I finished packing at like 4:30. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave for the airport at 5. So I can fit in a half an hour nap right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I woke up at like, if the flight was at 7, I woke up at like 6:20. So like 10 minutes before boarding was supposed to happen. And it was bad.
All right.
So don't stay up 3 nights in a row. That's my life advice for tonight. Good night.
I physically don't think I could. Like, even if I tried, I don't think I could do it.
I think you'd be like, oh my god, like Tom and Jerry when he puts tape on his eyeballs to hold them open because he can't sleep. You would be that. That's the only way you could tough it out.
Yeah, I couldn't do it, even if I put my mind to it, which is kind of sad to think about.
Why does that feel like a song? Is it a song? I want to like finish a song lyric here, but brain fart.
I don't know. Probably is, but I don't know.
This is gonna bug me now. What song was needed to be inserted here?
Yeah, insert song here. Yeah, but the last couple of weeks, while we've been apart
for so long.
Yes. I feel like as summer approaches.
Wow, what a thought.
I know, crazy.
Oh my god, wait. When will we drop this? We'll drop this in April so I can say this fun fact. Well, it's not fun. The one I just told you.
Oh, okay.
When this episode drops, I can't do the math right now because it is 12/12, so please don't ask me. But it'll be April, which means we are now more than 25% of the way through 2022.
Ooh.
Do with that information what you will. It will keep me up tonight.
Truly crazy how fast things happen.
It's just speeding by, my guy. Crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, this past couple of weeks, I feel like I have been kept up by like more serious thoughts. And I know we try to keep it light on this podcast, which I really appreciate. But this week, I think, again, since things have been speeding up or more and more events are happening, more and more responsibilities.
Don't
Right.
like that.
Disgusting. I feel like it's just been so busy, and sometimes it seems like I spread myself a little bit too thin.
Can relate to that.
Yeah, and this past couple of nights I've been up really late just doing overtime with work and everything because we have a couple deadlines to meet, and I do have I have a smaller job outside of my 9 to 5 and a couple other groups that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
And I think that as everyone's like booking times to travel, go to events, things like that, I'm feeling like I'm spreading myself really thin.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot, dude. And I feel like you really kicked it into gear. Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
We started this podcast at the beginning of the year. You started your second job a little bit right after that. You started your other activities a little bit after that too.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, you go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so proud of you, but I worry a little. Like, not gonna lie.
To be honest, I worry too. And I like staying busy. I do. And I think it was definitely motivated by being in a pandemic for the last 2 years, not having anything to do other than work. And so now that things are starting to open again, I'm like, okay, I want to be active. I want to get back into a community. And ever since moving up to Seattle, I haven't had that opportunity because I moved during COVID.
Right. Okay.
So now that things are kind of going back to normal, I'm like, okay, like now is my opportunity to kind of get back into some more activities that I like to do. And I think I jumped the gun a little bit where I was like, all of these opportunities sound great. I want to take advantage of them now.
Yeah.
And like any activity you do, you kind of slowly ramp up. And so I think while I was slowly ramping up with these like 4 different things, I was like, this is manageable.
Yeah.
You know?
Not in full force yet. So you were like, I can do this. Like,
yeah.
this is fair. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. But then, this past week, I think Monday, Tuesday, is today Wednesday? Yes.
Well, now it's Thursday.
It's today. Oh, God. So we'll count today as well, or yesterday, Wednesday. I think I stayed up until like 2 a.m. just working and stuff.
No.
And so I was like, my main question that kept me up was, when is
in addition to work?
Yeah. Like, when is too much too much? When are you spreading yourself too thin? And how do you balance that? You know?
Yeah.
Especially when it's not just your own motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's driving it. Like, for example, we have this podcast and it's both of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for my other job, there's, I want to say like 6 other people who work there too, and we have to make sure that our shifts line up.
Right.
For the dance group, you know, like they have a schedule too. They're wanting to start practicing for competition season. And what are those rehearsals looking like? What is that commitment? So it's all very strange. And now with work as well, because of the mandates, we're starting to travel again for work. So
yeah,
now building that into the schedule.
Yeah.
Everything's like a little overwhelming, you know?
Claire's a traveling consultant for work, just
yes.
as a little backstory.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
She has to travel. She travels usually Monday through Thursdays during the week when she works in non-pandemic times. Actually, next week she's working Monday through Friday. You're traveling Monday through Friday, which is a lot.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad because I finally feel like I'm in a routine here, you know, so now going back to what our supposedly normal schedule was, it's like, oh shoot, now I have to get used to a different schedule. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to know your thoughts, I guess, on like, when do you think too much is too much? Like, when do you know that's you're at your limit?
Mm-hmm. Still finessing that skill, honestly. I'm kind of like you, where I consistently will have had a history of doing too much and consistently piling on stuff on my plate, responsibilities, activities, especially like you said, coming out of the pandemic, and it's like, oh, this sounds great. I feel like I've always had that personality of, oh, that's cool, I want to do that, and not maybe necessarily looking forward to, okay, what does that require of me? And just more thinking of that's something I want to do, and not the feasibility of how does that look in my life currently with where I'm at, and negotiating how I can balance that into my life. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely had that issue before. Not so much now. Right now I'm still very much in pandemic mode. If anything, it's just a struggle of balancing. I think the closest I've come recently is when the mandates first started lifting, and I wanted to see friends who I haven't seen in, like a year and a half, 2 years almost, and trying to coordinate time with them around working and that sort of a thing. Like, there was months at a time that my partner and I were occupied seeing people, just going around to seeing friends that we haven't seen in a while, meeting up with my family to just check in on them, yada yada yada. And after like a month of doing that, I was burnt out. I was like, I literally don't want to see anyone. And I'm an extrovert. Like, I love it's bad when I was like, no one talked to me. I did not want to engage with people. I was like, literally next weekend, and I think we even had plans with someone, and I was like, cancel it. I can't do this. So I don't know if I really have a strategy at mitigating it right now. Other than I fall into the same cycle. I think maybe with the pandemic, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, I've kind of slowed down in general, and I think that's a general sentiment of everyone just being in the pandemic. Like, I definitely feel like I'm quote lazier than before, in the sense of I don't do as much, but I try to remind myself and give myself the grace that we're in survival mode. Like, even though I'm not physically doing much, like the emotional and mental turmoil of just existing in a pandemic and just going about your day has been so rough. And that's why I'm so tired a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to what's too much, it's more of the issue of how can I alleviate it? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. So would you say, like, for yourself, you know too much is too much when when you turn into an introvert?
I think so. I think it's maybe a panic, like a panic of like, I'm overwhelmed with things, and then I shut down and I'm like, no more. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do anything. Don't want to engage.
Yeah.
In the past, I have, when it's been like for school, when I would pile on too much on my plate and get very stressed with things, I would like cry. I'd get like so mad I'd cry about it.
Oh, damn.
It was like that sort of a thing. But that was also high school. Like, we're very emotional, but it was also very valid. Like, shit was very stressful.
Honestly. Yeah. In high school, so much pressure on taking on a bunch of different extracurriculars, honors, clubs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're spreading yourself pretty thin back then too, just to be able to kind of show yourself off to different colleges.
Yeah. And I think we wrote it off, or at least I did, because I was quote, quote, young. And I could do it. Like, pulling an all-nighter, I could do it. So I'm going to do it because I need to do XYZ responsibilities. I need to do this for this club. I need to help out these people with that. I think another reason why I take on too much is because I'm a people pleaser, for sure.
Oh, T.
I know that about myself. I am.
Okay.
So, like, when it came to meeting people after the pandemic sort of a thing, yeah, I want to see you. If someone asked me, like, oh, let's hang out. Of course, I want to see you. I want to hang out with you. And I would agree to it and say yes to it, not thinking, like, okay, what does that mean for me? Like, I had a very stressful week this week. I truthfully don't want to do anything, like, but I've already agreed to go out with this person. Okay, I have to do it now.
Right.
And that's not fair to the other person either, because that, if I'm going in with that mindset, it's not as enjoyable having this catch up with them.
Right. Yeah. I was having a conversation similar to the one we're having right now with a coworker this week, and it was really nice. We got to like do a little one-on-one and walk around Green Lake.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. And we were kind of talking about our work boundaries, you know, because a lot of the times work can be very stressful. And now with how we've all kind of worked from home the last couple of years, that boundary between home and work
was shattered.
Yeah.
Shattered.
There's no boundary, especially like, say, if you have a desk in your room, like there's no divide between this is my house and this is my work.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those work boundaries are like, hey, can you work an extra couple of hours this week?
Hey, can you do this?
And then especially if like your computer's open and you hear that little ding, you know, you're like, well, I'm here. Let me just check it.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I had a friend, we were on vacation this past week, and he said something happened in the room. It was some type of noise, but it triggered something into his dream where he thought it was a Slack ping. I don't know what the noise was. He doesn't quite remember, but he was like, I thought I heard a Slack ping in my dream, and it just kept going, and I woke up annoyed, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that sucks.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And like, it's so easy for you to slowly start just, you know, oh, it's a quick thing. I'll just do that really quickly. 5 minutes turns into half hour, turns into hours.
Oh, since I'm here, let me check this other thing that this is running. Oh, let me check.
Yeah. And
let me check that email.
Yeah. You're working 12-hour days, and then it becomes the normal. And so now I think without those strong work boundaries, you've been working 12-hour days. That's what your team now knows.
Yeah,
and
totally.
So if you say, hey, I'm gonna go back to those 8-hour work days, all of a sudden they're like, wait, but it seems like you're being lazy now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, not being lazy. This is what I was
just being irresponsible before, actually.
Yeah, like
giving you that much of my time when I signed up for, or you only pay me for 8 hours of my day.
Exactly. And then so I feel like that is another place that it can kind of start, where you start spreading yourself a little thin. And especially if you have a really stressful job, you know, like that can just wear on you so quickly.
I definitely did that in the beginning of the pandemic. I was so guilty of it. Especially at the beginning of the pandemic, I was starting my second rotation for my my temporary job that I had at the time. And this second rotation was basically the make or break decision for whether or not I was going to be able to keep my job after that. So in addition to just pandemic and breaking those work boundaries that you're just talking about, I was so guilty of that because I told myself, if they ask for this, I need to give it to them, because what if they don't hire me? And I needed that job security, especially being in the pandemic. Like, I was not going to be able to stay in Seattle and keep my life if I didn't get my job. So I wasn't okay with it, but I just blatantly broke all of my work-life boundaries consistently for months at a time. And it got to the point where even my partner was like, you need help. Like, you need to stop, because this is not okay for you to be working on the weekends, for you to be working into ungodly hours. Your work hours are 9 to 5. You work 9 to 5. If you need a little bit more time, maybe, but you shouldn't be working till like midnight or 2 a.m. like you were.
Yeah. And it's, again, it can differ between jobs.
For sure.
You know, having that work-life balance is so important. And especially for me, my mental health is so easily broken down, unfortunately. I wish it was not that way. And for me now, it's been a while since I've spread myself very thin, honestly. And I've always been really good about setting boundaries with work, with school, with after school activities.
You definitely have, yeah.
Yeah, like even in high school, you know, when everyone was taking 6 AP classes, I was like, 2's okay.
Yeah, 2 is very doable.
Yeah, and look, we ended up in the same spot. It's fine.
Flex on them.
Yeah, after school activities, some kids would do musical instruments, sports, ASB, NHS, like all these different things. And I was like, dance. You know, like I was good about making sure that I wasn't too stressed out.
Good on you, dude. I could not.
Do you think that it's, well, you did say that you think it's because of the people pleasing?
Oh, for sure it was people pleasing. It was definitely a strong people pleasing, and just a lot of holding myself to ridiculously high standards. And I think that might be partly to comparison, and like now that I think about it and talking about imposter syndrome in the workplace, like I've never really heard about it until I started my job. And when I first converted, they had a very strong emphasis of, let's talk about imposter syndromes, let's open this conversation, let's make you aware that you're 99.9% probably going to run into this issue at some point in your career, especially in the beginning. And now that I think about it, I think that might have also been part of the issue. Like, I was comparing myself to my peers, and I hung around with a lot of people, kind of like how you're talking about, that would be taking those extra AP classes, that would be doing multiple sports, that would be doing another activity or club on top of all of that. And so I would think, okay, I have to do that. Like, I know it's possible because this person's doing it, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it quote quote better. You know, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for myself. And actually, my dad called me out on it after high school, though, so did not help me out, father. But he was so, who was it? I think it was my cousin. When I was a little kid, I found out that she got valedictorian. And I was like, what's that? I was like in elementary school, I think. And my dad explains to me, it's when you get a 4.0, you get all A's, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And so he told me this story, I think in senior year, or maybe after I graduated and I was like super stressed about college stuff. But he reminded me, like, I never put that expectation on you. I never said you had to do that. I never expected you to be a valedictorian and like to strive for these high aspirations, these grades. I wanted you to do your best, of course, and he tells me all the time, but I set that standard for myself, and then that caused a lot of self-inflicted stress throughout high school of like, oh, what happens if I get a B? Oh no, like da 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 da. And I sometimes spread myself too thin, like break my back over it, because I was like, I cannot get anything less than this. I know I'm capable of it, so I can't get anything less. But now looking back, at what cost? Like, how much sleep have I lost over that? When maybe a B would have been fine. Like, those extra 2 hours, 3 hours, a good 8 hours of sleep would have been much better for me in the long run. I didn't need to know those extra 2 formulas to make it, to get the A or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I say that now, at the time probably could not, like if I told high school me this, 99.9% she would not listen. We could not change her mind, but that's her issue.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that was definitely, it was people pleasing, self-inflicted imposter syndrome, self-inflicted standards.
Yeah. Comparison, I totally agree. I think the number one thing for me that caused me the most stress.
Yeah.
Like, even though I wasn't super hard on myself, say, making sure that I was a part of every single club, having multiple extracurriculars, taking all the APs. In that sense, it's always, you know, that time when you have a test and then everyone's discussing their grades after class, you know, like, oh, what did you get? Oh, what did you get? And all of a sudden your 89 isn't looking too hot.
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, you get in your head like, oh, I got a bad grade. 89 is not a bad grade, you know?
You got to scope out.
Yeah.
You got to think about it in the bigger picture.
Yeah. And something I learned in college, which I wish I had learned earlier, was like, will it matter in 2 weeks? Will it matter 2 months? Will it matter in 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's like, no, then it's like, then you don't need to keep stressing about it.
Yeah.
You know, you can obviously validate your feelings now. Like, if you're disappointed, you're disappointed, but you have to like eventually let it go, because otherwise that like weight will stay with you when you go into the next test, say, and then you'll spread yourself even thinner trying to study for that next test, trying to get a better grade then.
Like you said, if you think spreading yourself thin, you think, oh, I studied for 12 hours to get this 89. Okay, I need to study for at least 14 to get 100 on the next test, because I want that 100, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, where's the line between, okay, raising your standards, elevating yourself to grow? Like, okay, you want 100 now. Great. Awesome. Versus spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah. And it's a tough line to cross, you know, or a tough line to kind of see where it is. It's a gray area sometimes, but when too much is too much, for me, I can just tell when I wake up one day and I'm just like sad and I'm like, uh-oh, something is off.
No.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, like, you know, dealing with all mental health and whatever, it's a huge indicator for me. And I've learned this over the years with handling it. But it's like, if I wake up one day and I'm like, I am sad, and it's not for any particular reason, it's like I'm taking on too much. And like, that's my own indicator of, okay, I need to reevaluate and I need to prioritize. You know?
So what does the prioritization process look like, or filtering? What's your evaluate?
For me, my number one criteria is happiness, and I've had to work on that, honestly, and I'm still working on it. It's an ongoing process. Like, again, comparison is so easy to fall back into that trap of comparing yourself to other people. Say, for me, for like work, you know, working 8 hours a day, I have some team members who are working a lot more than me. And so then I get afraid, like, oh shoot, my team probably thinks I'm lazy, you know, like, oof. Yeah, like my coworker here, he's working 10 to 12 hours a day, sometimes on the weekends, and I'm not, you know. And then I think, well, are they going to be disappointed that I didn't get as much work done as him? Mm-hmm. But of course you're not going to get the same amount of work done if you're not working the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And luckily my company is amazing on supporting your work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Like, they will literally force you to take PTO if you haven't in a while. Like, you need time. We don't want you to burn out. So I'm very grateful for that. But even then, sometimes, you know, it can be hard. So I had the best advice from my mom because she always gives me the best advice. And even going into the workforce straight out of college, you know, you have that kind of extra energy, extra need for validation, I guess, when you're going out into the world. And so you're like, I'm obviously going to try to put my best foot forward. I'm going to take those extra hours. I'm going to work overtime. And she was like, hold up. Yeah, pump the brakes, all right? If you start out that way,
You have to keep it.
You have to keep it.
Frick.
And then once you, the one day,
Mic drop.
the one day you say, no, I can't do that, they're going to be disappointed,
Yeah.
you know? But if you go in the opposite way, having strict boundaries, I'm only working 8 hours a day, then every once in a while you're like, yeah, I can maybe work 10 hours a day, then they'll be really grateful for it, which is kind of messed up, right?
Oh, it's 100% messed up.
Yeah, but it's...
Just you explaining that of like going backwards with limitations and holding yourself back feels wrong hearing it, but it's
selfish in a good way.
exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, if you don't have the limits, your job is gonna step over you, you know. If you don't hold that boundary, they're gonna push it. What is it, give them an inch, they'll take a yard.
Yeah, and it can be for anything, really, anything outside of work. So making those boundaries known, I think, is super important for helping you to not spread yourself too thin. I think that's what I'm going to need to do. It's always hard too when everything's kind of thrown at you at once, but
Yeah, especially for you, everything's kind of picking up at the same time right now. So how are you handling right now? How you doing, dude?
I was a little stressed out today, not gonna lie.
Okay.
For work, like we had mentioned before, I do travel for work, and usually we have a couple weeks notice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easier to say, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be traveling here for this long, get that week organized. But in this case, we only had a couple days notice. It was very last minute because of the sudden kind of mandate lift and the stage of the project that we're on. We're like, okay, this is the best move to get the most amount of progress done, or whatever. Oh. Did you all hear that?
I'm gonna leave that in if I see if it did.
Yeah, if you can hear it, leave it in. And so we're like, okay, last minute trip, cool. But because of my current schedule, where in 2 weeks I'm also going to be on a week vacation on the East Coast, I'm like, okay.
She's going to Disney World without me.
Listen, we invite... Side note. Skirting. You brought it up.
I did. I opened this can of worms.
Yes.
I deserve it.
We wanted you to come.
Listen, the flights was so expensive. And even if I wanted to, well, I couldn't now because I'm switching jobs that same week. So Yayit could not. But yes, at the time, Claire and her partner invited me and my partner, and we're gonna do a little double date thing at Disney World.
Yeah, it would have been so fun, but it's fine. You just hate us, it's fine.
We contemplated so much. We were like stalking the flight details for, I had a notification on and it just kept going up and up and up.
Yeah,
and I was like, when tears start streaming down your face.
I'm gonna miss those COVID airfare.
Oh, honest.
Prices.
And with gas prices going up, girl.
Oh my gosh.
Traveling this summer looking real bleak.
I know, I was like, I wanted to do a road trip, but with these gas prices, it's gonna be in the Midwest somewhere.
Yeah.
Just drive in circles in Nebraska.
To your left is a cornfield, and to your right is another cornfield.
Yeah.
And if you look just far enough ahead, a cornfield.
Exactly. It's harvest season. It used to be a cornfield. Now it's just dirt.
Just desert.
Yeah.
Desert lands. Jesus. The tangent.
I don't even know what we're trying to
trying to backpedal on this tangent. Please hold. You're traveling, work, next week you're gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, the next 2 weeks, I'm not home. I only have 2 days that I'm home. And because of everything last minute that happened, I had to basically fit a week and a half of work and activities into 3 days. So yeah, a little stressed about that. And I think that's why this kind of triggered the, like, is this too much? Am I spreading myself too thin?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it is an obligation for work, which I totally get, but at the same time, I have obligations outside of work now that I have to make sure, for my other job, like, did I get scheduled for a shift? Do I need to find cover? How am I going to find cover? I'll be missing a few rehearsals for dance, which it stressed me out a little bit because I was like, we're now going towards competition season. We're starting set building, like all this stuff.
You guys build sets?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to be missing like 3 of those pieces that we need to learn for competition. When am I going to make that up? You know, like, so it's just been like, uh-oh. But I think at the same time, trying to find the balance, because luckily for me, all of these things I really do enjoy doing. So it's not spreading myself too thin on things that I don't enjoy and that don't bring me happiness.
Okay, yeah.
Because again, I like to prioritize happiness first. Like if it's making me happy, I don't necessarily want to get rid of it. But I don't even know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought.
I was just asking how you're doing.
I'm a little stressed. Better say, a little stressed.
TLDR, stressed.
Yeah, long story longer, I am stressed. But in a good way. I think after the next couple weeks, you know, I'll be able to kind of reprioritize again, get more organized and be like, all right, we're back on track. I think this little surge of activity was like, oh, I'm doing a lot right now. Am I okay with doing that much? Like, because again, I do like to make sure that my boundaries are strict, because as an introvert, I lose energy very fast. So I need to make sure that I have time to like recoup and everything.
Totally.
Yep. What are other times where you think that you spread yourself too thin, maybe emotionally?
Oh, jeez. Frick.
Because I feel like this is definitely always tied to emotion.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't think of a time that was specifically emotional other than when I was emotionally weighed down by something that was usually, actually just, yeah, almost always happening in my personal life. And I had other responsibilities that I had to push through. Like something was happening in my personal life. I was emotionally weighed down, like did not want to do anything, I just wanted to like curl up in a ball and watch Netflix because I just didn't want to deal with the world.
She wanted to introvert.
I wanted to introvert, yeah. But I would have like, I had work that day. I had meetings to go to. Like I can't exactly blow that off. And this was like early pandemic days where we didn't have as many. This is before we realized, oh, like global wellness days are good for people.
Yeah, mental health, important.
Exactly, yeah. So I was just like, gotta, you know, trying to like squish them.
Stuff that down.
Exactly. Not good. Don't recommend it.
Yeah, it's never good to stuff down emotions.
Yeah, I don't think I can't think of a time where I was able to handle it other than just trying to block it out while I'm working or doing something else that I really needed to at the time. Not a good approach, but the way I have handled it.
Yeah.
What about you? Emotional stretchings?
I think there have been some times with friendships that I've spread myself too thin with taking on emotional burden for them.
Oh, yeah.
Which is I classify as being completely different from helping them emotionally and being empathetic, you know? Like you can be empathetic if your friend is going through something, for sure, but taking on the burden for them is completely different. And, you know, everyone has things going on all the time. There's never a time where everyone's like, oh, nothing's happening in my life, you know?
Everything's fine.
Yeah, and so I think growing up, I did that a lot with people, which maybe that's why it pushed me to be more introverted now. I don't know.
Psychology.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Light bulb goes off. Can we add a little sound effect in there? Ding ding.
Is that what you think a light bulb sounds like?
What is it? Is it?
I think of the beaded cord in like old timey like light switches, or like for a lamp. It's like you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
This is not just like a weird, not even ASMR because it's not satisfying.
Not satisfying at all, just very confusing to everyone. I think some people can take on emotions when they don't need to or don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times, where I had found out certain situations of a friend's living situation or a friend's drama or something like that. And I wanted to support them so badly that I would take on the emotion for them. And then I have a really hard time like compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
Which I would be a horrible nurse or horrible emergency medic. Like I would just, I would combust on them, which it would not be good. And so because I can't compartmentalize all that all the time, and like a really bad liar, horrible poker face, like it would bleed into other parts of my life. And then like if I was dealing with something and someone else's thing, my emotions would just be all over the place.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's a time where I probably spread myself too thin emotionally.
So how did you counteract that? Like you realize, okay, I'm taking on this person's burden when I don't necessarily need to, and I'm also dealing with my other things, whatever it is, and now I'm at my brink. I'm at my breaking point emotionally. What do you do?
I think I had through those experiences, I had to learn my own limits. I think there's a saying, it's like, if you're a giver, you need to learn your limits because takers don't have any.
Shit. Okay.
So for me, there was a type of guilt, say, like, if I don't take on this emotional burden too, then I'm not supporting them, which is not true. You can definitely support a friend without taking on the emotional burden for them. You can empathize, you can support, show you like love through whatever love language they have, whether it be like get them ice cream and watch a movie with them that night, or, give them a bunch of hugs, like it just depends on the person.
Yeah.
But saying that you're there to support them, I think is just as impactful, if not more impactful, than just deciding to take on the burden for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so through that, like learning my own limits, putting up boundaries in that area, being again like selfish in a good way, looking at, because you need to look out for yourself too.
Yeah.
So I think through a long learning process with that, that's how I kind of started to shift and put myself first in those situations where it's like, I support you, I'm here for you, but I also can't let my own mental health, my own emotions decline because of it,
Yeah. I can't break myself fixing you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's tough.
It truly is.
I don't think I've learned that yet. I don't think I've learned that line. I want to. I know it like mentally, but like executing and staying strong on holding that line is tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really tough.
Any other?
When is too much too much?
When you're unhappy, like you said. I think
Yeah.
what it ultimately boils down to is if you're unhappy. It's too much if the cons outweigh the pros, right? If it's bringing you more pain and suffering than joy. Because you need to go through hard times to get the good stuff.
Yeah, and to learn your boundaries. What are your boundaries? Everyone's different.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
But the important thing is learning them.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you realize, oh, that was a lot, or this person violated whatever boundary that I didn't like this person doing this thing, or I didn't like this scenario that played out, so that broke. That's where I should have a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And then sticking to that.
Mm-hmm. 3
key steps.
Yeah. I think a good takeaway from the question, when is too much is, well, what are your boundaries and how do you set them? I think it's super important to have boundaries. Not saying too many boundaries are good either.
Yeah, you don't want to build
a wall. Yeah.
I was trying not to say that phrase, but yeah, that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, you don't want to take away too many opportunities, I guess. There's a good balance. And again, finding that balance is hard, and everyone has their own journey with it. I'm still having a journey with it, obviously. I got stressed out this week thinking I do have a lot to do, in little time. But I think it's always a forever changing process. because life is never the same. You never have the same conditions across the board. So when you move to a different state, or you take on a different activity, you switch jobs, like, you're gonna have to create new boundaries for those. Make a new friend. What are the boundaries for that? You know, it's a forever learning process. But
maybe I'll do that in my new job. Maybe I'll set boundaries. Lamau.
Yeah, stick to those 8-hour work days.
Hell yeah. We'll see. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. Please and thanks.
Yeah. we all send you luck.
Ooh, that's a creepy way of sending luck. That sounds like your demon ghost thing.
Oh, true. I thought it sounded like the TikTok, like, if you want, you can take some of my sunshine.
Oh, yeah. With that context, yes.
Okay. We'll pretend that you thought that the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll cut out the first one.
I guess a closing question for this week is, what have you identified as your patterns before you set a boundary?
Complaining.
Good answer.
Like, if some things, I'm very vocal, especially with the people I trust. If I love and trust and I believe for you to support me, then I'll be very vocal. And I'm an extrovert, so I just need to like let it all out. Mm-hmm. And then I can think about it, I can process it. That's my way of processing, right? Is just to like word vomit it all out. And if I keep venting or complaining about the same things, using my friends as sounding boards or whatever, and I realize there's a pattern as to what's triggering me, that's when I realize, okay, something's wrong. Mm-hmm. But it's not, I need to vocalize it, I need to complain, yell, scream, whatever it is about it, and then slowly the pattern emerges where I'm like, yeah, that's kind of whack, dude. and then that hopefully, ideally, would be a wake-up call to, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to limit? What do I need to give more of myself or less of myself to? And that sort of a thing, I think. Mm. What about you?
I think I start getting unmotivated.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I consider myself a very self-motivated person. Like, I've never really needed someone to push me to do things. Like, I'll take the initiative to do it myself. But if, I start, I guess, slacking, because I've never been a slacker, like, at work, if I'm unmotivated to finish my tasks for the day, or say I haven't been unmotivated for the podcast yet.
Woo! We love to hear that.
But say, like, if I find myself being like, I don't really want to record, or I don't really want to keep, making posts or whatever, or like I have to kind of force myself to do it, that's kind of an indicator of, so you're taking on too much, you're overwhelmed in some capacity, let's rally, see what's up, kind of lay out what you have in front of you, what's not bringing you happiness, what's stressing you out, and then go from there. But I think not being motivated is definitely an indicator for me. Totally.
Like you said, measuring off of objectively what brings you happiness.
Yeah.
That's a nice sign. And motivation. And motivation? No motivation. It's 1 a.m. I'm going to justify myself with that.
Yeah. Also, I did learn, if you haven't read The Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yes.
You read that?
Yes, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have a great chapter on comparison, which I think is where I got a lot of these lessons from, which is like, okay, you're comparing yourself to others. Say, if you're in a race, right? You're comparing yourself. What place did you get? Oh, I got third. Well, they got second. They got first. Oh, I'm a loser. No. Why are you using those metrics to compare? How far did you run? You all ran the same distance. Why don't you congratulate yourself on that? Like, why don't you use that metric rather than the place you got, So it's very, like, it alters your mind for comparison, for happiness, like measure happiness versus like the other things, which I also think is a huge proponent of spreading yourself too thin.
Which one? Looking at the metrics or?
measuring happiness versus metrics. You know, like if you measure with happiness, that's a huge proponent of spreading yourself too thin. You know, because if you're not happy about doing a bunch of like 5 different activities, you know, do 3 and then you'll be happy, instead of being like, oh, I'm only doing 3, measuring with metrics.
I see.
You know,
okay,
like,
yeah.
But I'm happy only doing 3. That should be the metric you're looking at rather than the number of activities you're doing.
Instead of beating yourself down that you're doing quote quote only 3 instead of 5, think, wow, I'm doing these 3 things and I'm happy about it. I see. That makes sense.
Just like a shift in view of how you're measuring
Life,
yeah.
Yeah. Money can't buy happiness. It can only buy you trips to Disney.
Yeah. It can only get you a rocket to space. Yes, Elon. Just send my car up into space for fun.
Just because I can.
Yeah. Would you go to space if you could?
No.
Same. I don't understand why people would. They can all go.
You don't even want to go into the ocean.
True.
I do.
Would I rather go into the ocean or space?
Ooh. I know my answer. My answer's easy.
Yeah, yours is water.
Oh yeah, I love water. I'll go. I don't have. What's the word? You taught me this word literally right before this podcast.
Thalassophobia.
Thalassophobia.
The fear of deep water, which I have and I love. Love that I have it. I love that I have it and I watch Jaws. Like,
I think that I'm 99% sure that's what triggered it for you. Like, watching Jaws at the age of 3.
Yeah.
Kind of will do that for you.
Side story. When I was quite a young child.
Just a tot.
Yes, a little tater tot, if you will. My mom went to the gym, this gym that had a daycare center.
This is obviously a vivid memory for Claire, too.
Yeah, I would go to the daycare when she worked out. And there's one day I was the only kid there. And so I was just kind of like hanging out with the girl who was, I guess, in charge, working there. And she was like, do you want to watch a movie? And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, don't tell your mom we're watching Jaws. And I was literally maybe 4 or 5 at the time. And I was just sitting there watching Jaws. And yeah, that's probably what triggered my fear of the water for sure.
That'll do her. That's called childhood trauma.
We love how it blossoms in adulthood.
Yep.
Yeah, so now I can't go in the water unless I know what's beneath me. I don't want a shark to come up and eat me.
Num.
Exactly. If they do, just one whole bite. I'll curl up.
Then there's me.
Just swallow me like a pill.
Then there's me, my epic way to die.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, I would die high as fuck. Eaten by a shark.
Because I would be known as the girl that was eaten whole by a shark.
That's true.
But I don't want to know it. So anesthesia, overdose to death milliseconds before I get swallowed by the shark. And no one would know because I would be swallowed by the shark. So everyone else, I've been eaten by a shark. And it's epic and tragic. But realistically, I just died in my sleep.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Can't relate.
Yeah. Not how I would choose to die, but like, go off. I'll support you.
If I had to die in a non-conventional, ridiculous way, like ideally sleep, right? The ideal, quote, quote, ideal way to die is just passing in your sleep. Easy, no pain, no one needs to know.
Easy breezy cover girl.
Not sponsored.
Please sponsor us.
But if I had to choose a ridiculous way to die, that would be mine.
Okay, that's fair.
Not my first choice. Come on, I'm not crazy. That crazy.
How do we measure crazy?
How much time you got? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for our 10th episode of the Midnight Memo. We really appreciate all your support. Claire's fist bumping the air right now next to me. Lovely. If you have any suggestions of what we can talk about next week or what you would love to hear from us, reach out to us via email, themidnightmemo@gmail.com, or message us on TikTok and Instagram at The Midnight Memo.
Please follow and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. It really supports our podcast and what we're doing here. And if you want to go a step further, we do have a link in our description where you can donate to the podcast.
Don't forget to follow The Midnight Memo on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you can be notified when our next episode drops next Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm so proud of us. We reached 10 episodes.
We're in double digits, baby.
Yeah, we're really growing here.
Growth.
We love it. Thank you all for supporting us. thus far, and we hope to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope this keeps bringing us happiness.
Yes. As long as we're happy doing this, we will bring our midnight thoughts to you.
All right.
Bye. Oh, bye.
Bye.
Bye. We'll stitch it together. It's fine.
We'll make it work.